Welcome back to another episode of an Investor's Journey podcast. So we had obviously a little glitch before the episode, and it was recording. We didn't realize, but yeah, we're back in it. This is Tip Tuesday as a coincidence, and we have for Tips for Our Pros, we have Adrian Salazar. This guy has always surprised me ever since we started working with him. You need drive in this business. You need to be able to hustle. You need to be able to put in the work. And in that purpose that drives you without getting any compensation matters a ton, right? So you need to make sure that that's always there. And Adrian had it from day one, and he's gone on to do amazing things. So I'm very excited to be able to bring him on. So I want to welcome Mr. Adrian Salazar.
What is up, guys? Thanks for having me.
You like the sound effects?
I've dreamed of this day since we started working together, bro.
Yeah, man. Good to have you on.
Heck yeah.
So
How many videos is this already on the podcast?
How many videos?
Yeah, how many have you done?
I don't know. Well over 100 already. Yeah. Consistency, man. That's what it is. So welcome to the podcast. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself. What is it that you focus on? What do you do in the real estate space, who you are, and how you got started and everything?
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. So my name's Adrian Salazar. I'm 24 years old. I'm from McAllen, Texas, small town, South Texas. And graduated high school, 17, moved to San Antonio to start my, undergraduate at UTSA, and ended up, really, I think, backtrack a little bit. I found my passion early on, at a young age. Loved playing like the little Lego games and creating my own spaces. So I figured out that real estate and construction and, design, architecture was kind of it's my calling, And, went to college, got my construction degree, loved the program, loved just kind of what that involves. But before I went to college, I was part of a multi-level marketing company. And that multi-level marketing company really allowed me to expand my mind and, develop my mindset and develop my, the skills needed, the mental skills needed in order to be successful in anything, right? So, fast forward a little bit, and company went out of business, and I started looking at other opportunities. And I was in San Antonio, didn't really know many people, but I saw an ad on Facebook that there was going to be a real estate seminar in San Antonio. Robert Kiyosaki, it was a Rich Dad Poor Dad. I thought Robert Kiyosaki was actually going to be there because I knew who he was from the personal development, right, that I was doing. So, I went to the event, and all they were talking about was pre-foreclosures. Pre-foreclosures are rising, and, you can wholesale deals, and, if you partner with someone, you can learn the business. And I just kind of felt really, inclined to that. And I remember at the end of the presentation, he asked in the room, everybody, who was, over 10 years in the business, who was five, and who was just a newbie. And some people over 10 years in the business raised their hand, and the guy said, go meet these people, like those who are barely getting started, go shake their hand, get a business card, see what kind of value you can provide. I did exactly that. And they introduced me to some RIAs. So I got involved in the real estate investor clubs in San Antonio, and that's where I met you, right? So, before you, I kind of was trying to mingle around and see who I could meet, right? And I think, you sent an email out saying you were helping with marketing. And I was like, that's perfect. Like, that's the foundation of, real estate, right? And so, I'm sure you remember this day clearly. We went to go eat and had coffees at, somewhere there at the Pearl. And, we were talking about it, and you were like, you saw my drive. You saw that I was kind of fired up. But I feel like you've already met, so many people before me, right, that were probably the same way. So, I was aware of that, but, I had something most people don't, and that's, dedication, right, and desire for success. And so you gave me a few things to do, started calling a few, owners, go to, some houses, get some leads, distressed properties. A week or two, I came back with a list of addresses for you, like, phone numbers, leads, and you were just like, wow, man. Like, so, and I think that's, coming into the game what helped me, being able to do that and become resourceful in finding these properties too. But it was definitely a good start. Was a good start to my career, meeting you and providing value to you, right? I mean, I wasn't expecting a check. I wasn't expecting a check at all. And, we went, I don't know how long, diving into our credit cards and diving into, different avenues, right? And maximizing everything, all the card lines. And I even got some student loans to cover my, personal expenses, and there were grants, and I'm still paying them back right now. But it's whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes. And, fast forward a little bit, we wholesaled, so many deals. We were finding deals that most people couldn't find. And, we were super aggressive, right? We started knocking on a bunch of doors, making a bunch of cold calls. And, that helped us get a little bit of cash going, right? And it helped us, build a little bit of reserves. And then, we got into flipping, right? A couple, 2-3 houses later, I decided kind of, that's not really my vision, right? And, absolutely nothing, personal happened. It was just we were going this way, and I was going to explore another avenue, and I felt that I knew enough, and it was definitely, something that you taught me, and the team, John, I mean, everyone that you guys introduced me to, it definitely helped me be able to take that leap. And, wholesaled a few houses after that and decided to retarget my marketing into multifamily deals. And so, started sending some postcards out to small multifamily, 832 units.
Hold on.
I'm going. I'll go through the whole thing, bro.
You're going to tell your whole life story. Hold on 1 second. So
go through it all.
Bringing it back a little bit. What was that drive that you had? Because I remember when you started working with us, and we were giving you all the shit work because there was a lot of people that, they always come in, they're fired up, they're hungry. And as soon as they realize that they got to actually do work, and just calling yourself a real estate investor isn't enough, we see that, they start falling off. And the reason we give the shit work is because we want to see your commitment, right? Because it does require commitment from us to be able to train you, to give you access to the resources, to pay for marketing, to do all that. So a lot of times we got burnt doing all that with people that just weren't going anywhere. So when we were doing that, and we were, the one time I gotta admit, like when we sat down with John and we're like, all right, this kid is serious, is I think we gave you like 800 or 1,000 envelopes of stuff with letters and shit. And you came back like almost the same day and you're like, hey, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. Like, what's next?
I remember too, like walking into your office, and you guys just were like, I mean, what do we do? What do we tell this guy? What does he do? What do we tell him to do? And I remember, John looked around the room and saw the box, of unlicked, envelopes and unpuffed, stuffed envelopes, and he was like, dude, take this box and go help us fill this up. And I was like, dude, on it.
So
on it.
What
like,
was going through your mind during that time that, it was all this, essentially shitty work, but you still kept going through it? Like, what was going through your mind? Why did you keep doing that?
I believed that I could do it. I believe, like, after seeing, everyone go up and, speak at these RIAs and meeting people at these RIAs, I believe that I could do it. And when someone believes in something that firm, like, it doesn't, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out, and you will, continue to drive yourself and self-motivate yourself. So, I mean, it was one of those two that I knew that I had to enter, the game. I didn't have $100,000 to lend you guys to teach me, right? I didn't have, an 800 credit score to, sign on deals, right? I didn't have that, but I had, ambition and drive. And, when that's all you have, sometimes the sweat equity is really what is going to help you in the long run and help pay for your success in the business.
And what was one of the biggest challenges you faced when you first started? Like, that you're like, damn, it was just hard to get beyond this point?
Mainly, I wanted more deals, and I think also, the systems, like knowing that, in order for me to close on, let's say, 30 wholesale deals a month, I couldn't be going myself to go get the contracts on these deals. I had to be flying around town, like I remember too, you were telling me just to go take pictures of houses, like just to go, hey, like, so you could be in the office and then I was going to go and learn, build rapport. So, I think that the main thing was, knowing that I wanted more, but how I was going to do it. And knowing that I need a team and we needed to build a team.
Right.
So,
all right.
and we're get it all done.
So we did what we did, right? You helped us a lot in the growth of the company and everything. And then, like we said, you realized that single family just wasn't really doing it for you. And so you branched off, you decided to go into multifamily. What was it about multifamily that just caught your attention that you're like, let me try this out? What was it about it?
To be completely honest with you, the thing that really, made my mind shift and made me decide to go full on, is, I'm not going to say any names, but someone I know wholesaled an apartment complex in San Antonio, and got more of a $235,000 check, and payable to him. And I saw the check, I saw the deal, I saw it go down, I saw how much time was invested, I saw that they were also starting, and it was pretty intense. And what made me realize, like, on the drive back home, we were at a bar, like, drinking a few beers, talking, and that was when he showed me the check. The whole drive home, it completely changed everything I was thinking about. Like, it was a paradigm shift for me in my head, because not saying there's absolutely anything wrong with single family, there's nothing wrong with land investing, there's nothing wrong with mobile home parks. I think real estate is a juggernaut, and you have to figure out what you really like to do and where your goals are. Like, figure out your goals and what strategy is going to help you reach your goals. And that's when I saw multifamily, the ability to help create cash flow and create legacy and create the tax advantage that you need coming in, and the idea of going into an apartment community and repositioning it to make it better and make it a more safer place to live, and improve the lives of the residents and improve the lives also of our investors who invest with us, and it's just a win-win for everybody. So decided to go full on.
So pretty much, I mean, which is cool, but money got you into it. Like, you saw that big ass paycheck and you're like, I want me a piece of that. And that's always fine. A lot of people, I think that's a lot of the issue in this business, when they try to kid themselves saying, oh, it's not about the money, it's not about the money, but it is, right? So we all need money, we all need to live, we all need to pay our bills, and you got to be honest with yourself, because if it is about the money and you're trying to pretend like it's not, all you're doing is just fighting against the trends, right? You're just going uphill at all times. Just admit that's about the money and start working for the money. Start figuring out how you're going to get that. So you got started. What kind of education?
The thing that, let me touch on that though, because it really wasn't the money. It was more on, because I saw it, let's just say 6-figure check, right? But it's beyond them. At one point, coming into real estate, I did have a few years where it was like the money. But then after that, when I became, one with my vision and aligned with where I want to go, it was more of what that $200,000 check could do, right? So, I could hop on a plane and go to, Belize or go to Indonesia, and not have that constraint of, dude, a $600 plane ticket, or, not even that, but while I'm there, enjoy it to the full time. I mean, I want to be going to Olympics, games, World Cups, like, that's all what I saw that is the ability, to really fire me up. It wasn't so much the $200,000 check, because, even my partner now, we don't care about the money. It's more of, what it's able to provide. It's freedom coupons, right? I mean, that's the way I see it.
I gotcha. So it's a lifestyle that it can provide.
Absolutely.
So what was the education that you did when you first started in multifamily? Like, what was it? Because you didn't know much about multifamily. So how did you even get started? Like, what did you read a book? Did you go to a course? Like, what was it that got you in there?
So, definitely helped that my business partner, Mauricio Ramos, he told me that he was going to go off and branch off to apartments, and he was going to start marketing to them. And I was like, dude, go do your multifamily thing. I'm going to stick to my houses. I'm going to flip houses, and that's going to be me. And when I started seeing him, just literally switch up his marketing from marketing to, single family homes. He sent postcards to small multifamily, and, started answering calls and, screening it out. The questions you have to ask are a little bit different, than the single family stuff. So you have to really, it's based upon the value of the property. So you have to figure out the value of the property, right? And, that was quick, right? You just look at income and expense statements and, kind of figured out more or less what the profit was on the deal. And, definitely also listened to a bunch of podcasts, went to the, weekend seminar, apartment investing weekend seminar. I bought a spiral for that event and I almost filled it up. Like it was one that, also touching on that, I didn't have a lot of money to buy an apartment course. I didn't have $30K to invest in in one of those programs, so I had $150 to go to this weekend seminar, so I wanted to stretch those dollars out as much as I could.
What was the seminar?
Implement. It was in Rat Race to Retirement, Brad Sumrock, in Dallas. It was a 2-day seminar. Literally, blew my mind. Came back, started reading some more books. And it was more implementing. I like to implement stuff and then learn it as I go.
Right, and that seminar gave you, because you always heard me talk a lot of shit about gurus and everything, because
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of them, but I am a huge fan of learning. You need to learn, right? So and I did the same thing. I went to a ton of seminars when I got started, and everything, just to learn learn that vocabulary, because that's what I try to tell people when when you're in real estate and they're like, oh, why don't you do commercial and this and that? And it's like, because every branch has a different language that you got to learn, right? You need to understand how to evaluate. And you went from single family to multifamily, and there's a lot of things that you can take with you, but like you said, the property needs to qualify. Now it's a different way of analysis, and talking to the homeowner, it's a different education level for the homeowner too. You're not dealing with somebody that's just losing their home, right? So that education is so crucial. So you went to that program. I'm sure you did some networking, got to meet some people.
Super.
What was that action step that you took right after that seminar?
I started, calling owners. Driving around a neighborhood and seeing, some old dilapidated apartments in San Antonio when I was there. Even in McAllen, I also, heard invest in your own backyard. I kept hearing invest in your own backyard, like where you're familiar with, where you know people. And sure enough, we own 57 units here in the Valley, and that's where I'm from, and it was one of those things too that, I knew how to find deals on houses. We did not have a problem finding deals, and I just literally implemented the same strategies. There's no rocket science. You're not building a Falcon 9 SpaceX rocket. You gotta just switch it up a little bit and decide. You know what? I'm gonna mail to 8 to 32 units, 500 postcards a week, and I'm gonna make a few calls to some brokers. I'm gonna make a few rounds around the neighborhoods, try to find some beat up apartments. And we decided to target that smaller multifamily range. Because we were wholesaling them. So we weren't buying them. It was easier to wholesale. It was kind of a gray area where, mom and pop owners, and we had, negotiation, we had the ability to negotiate a little bit better compared to a bigger deal. And we started wholesaling the deals and, got familiar with the numbers, got familiar with all the numbers too, without actually investing $100,000,
Where'd you get the confidence to go after those deals and maybe not bigger ones, and knowing that you can negotiate them and then do something with them? Like, what did you have a buyer's list lined up, or what was going through your head that you just went at it? Did you have a plan in place for those properties? Like, what was the plan for when you started marketing?
I did not have a buyer's list for multifamily properties. Like for multifamily properties, I didn't. It was. I knew, and from these weekend seminars, honestly, guys, like these weekend seminars, if you go, like literally pay $150, listen, pay attention. They're basics. You have to master the basics, right? And when when I heard the deal, you got to find the deal. When you find the deal, the money will come. When it's truly a good deal, right? So my focus was not, I got to meet people with money. No, my focus was on the deal, because there's a guy up there telling me with 20 years of experience that when I find the deal, the money comes. So, I started studying what's a deal, right? Like what is a deal? So that's where you start making sure, because one thing that we truly lived, super deep on and tattooed it to our head when we were there at PRYME is, you're not going to lock in a deal without being able to close on it. You don't just tie something up and then, oh, let me try it. No, you have to be confident and make sure that it's going to work, because then you're going to waste everybody's time. It's just, and that's not the way you do it. And that's why wholesaling looks super bad right now, and a lot of people don't like it. It's because they're not doing it right, and I think wholesaling is a great way to get into real estate. Anyone who calls me, literally, no matter what age, no matter what they do, wholesaling will always be the first thing that I tell them to do. Like one or two, even one or two or three, just so you even know how the closing process goes, and be able to do that. So I mean, definitely helped.
All right. So definitely you kept networking, right? I mean, that's the biggest key to all of this. You got to keep networking, increasing your network. You started pretty much implementing what we do for single family. You drove for dollars, right? You drove neighborhoods or wherever the hell you drove in McAllen, and you were looking for houses that apartment units and stuff like that look run down and everything. Then you would scrub them, find who the owner is, skip trace them, do all that good stuff.
To be completely honest with you, my first deal, my apartment deal, was an 8-unit that I wholesaled, and that I literally bought the list straight from ListSource. No joke. Bought the list from ListSource, sent it to those addresses, those mailing addresses. Like, a lot of people overthink it sometimes. Like, I just sent them all out. I mean, and some came back and some didn't, and that's how I started building my database and CRM, right, and all the leads, right, and so. That's kind of how I found my 8-unit. And the other ways was just postcards and cold calling. Our 32-unit we recently bought, it was a cold call, just simple pitch, right? Hi, my name's Adrian, buy apartments and looking to expand our portfolio, kind of thing. I mean, I have a bunch of different scripts, but it was a cold call, and it was in Spanish too. I mean, the lady only spoke Spanish, and I never saw the seller. I never talked to him in person. So that was, there's no special on list, like, it was what I'm trying to say. Like, there's no, just get a list and take it down one by one. And if cards come back or calls don't go through, figure out why and try to get another software to, see if it can pull another number for it, and just keep going, and then you're going to end up building a master list, right? Like a master list of everything. If you keep it organized, and, you can literally just go into different cities and figure out, what kind of deal you want.
And what's your best way of contacting these lists? So you're creating lists whichever way makes sense, right? Because what I would imagine with multifamily is this is not like single family. You don't have the volume that you have on single family, right? So multifamily, you can probably pull a lot of different lists because you're just not going to have the tens of thousands of properties that you're going to have with single. So you're creating all these lists, and then what's your favorite way of contacting these people? Is it just cold calling, or do you have other methods that you like to use?
That's my favorite way right now. That's my favorite way.
And you always testing out new scripts?
I need to. So I don't use scripts really. I just call myself, because I'm confident and I know what I want, and I know what I need, and I know that you need to solve a problem. So it's more of that, and that's also one thing I just don't like is scripts, and that's why maybe I don't even have one. Like, when someone comes up to me and tries to help cold call, and it's something too that I need to have a script. I need to make one, like, for if I'm going to be training like a calling center or something. I need to have a few things, bullet points, right? Because they don't have the 7 years of experience, right? So definitely different scripts. I just freestyle it. I laugh. I ask them about them. It's you have to know, it's basics. If you literally watch a few Grant Cardone videos, you're fine. And implement them. People just don't implement them. Like, that's it. You don't like Cardone, right?
Are you fucking kidding me with Cardone? Come on.
I have his book right here.
Douchebag.
I get a little bit from everybody.
Nah, I feel you. Even a broken clock is right. But
twice a day.
No, you had a good point though. I agree with what you're saying. With definitely, you got to solve a problem, And that's where I think a lot of people screw up when they can't get deals and they can't do that because they're not focused on why is it that this person even wants to sell, right? There's a problem in there, that they're looking for a solution. So if not, they wouldn't be selling. So what is that problem? And that's where I tell people, they always ask, especially for cold calling, right? What scripts do you use? Nothing. I don't use any scripts because I want to know what it is that they need, right? And you can't figure that out with a script.
Yeah, you're gonna have to build a 400-page binder, like
Exactly.
No, dude.
Yeah, you got to understand you're dealing with a human being, and you got to just go through it. Like, what are your problems? What is it that you need? How can I help you? So that's really good, though. So you got going, you do your cold calling, you do everything. How many deals have you done so far between wholesales and everything?
So in the single family space, over like 50. I mean, 50, 60 deals that we've done there. Did a few after, what we left with you guys. So, strictly homes. I helped on some of those flips with you guys too, two, three houses. That's, before I left.
Marion is still asking about you.
Dude, that house that I was just talking about it with my contractor the other day too. That house with the 67 piers that you put in the house or something, dude. That's crazy, man. But it was great experience.
Tell that story real quick of how it was dealing with Marion.
Oh man, yeah, I moved her out. I moved her out of her house, and it was also, I think, a time where we didn't have as many deals in the pipeline, I think, than we usually did, or that was maybe the only one we were working, right, like at the moment, lively. So it was like, dude, Adrian, whatever you need to do, it's in a great location. You need to get her out, get her out, and she was budging on like 2,000, I think, or like 3,000, and we were like, no, like we can't. And I had to go over there and hear her sob stories. And, honestly, it was like a hoarder house in there, like super sketchy place. She pulled a gun on me, like, super mentally crazy. But I had an end game in mind, right? We needed to do this deal. So, I mean, dude, once I just needed her go, like, for a little bit. And I called every moving company, come get over here. Like, we're packing boxes. Oh no, we hired Craigslist guys. We hired Craigslist guys per day to come help with boxing. Sketchy guys too. It was weird, but dude, I mean, that was an intense deal. But how much did we make? We didn't even make any much on it.
No, dude, this is a bad deal.
But what I learned from it though, and what we learned from it, and that's where people drive me crazy. Like they drive me crazy because they care so much about the check, and they say, well, where's my part? What's my portion? What's my percentage? And what's my dude? Like, I don't know. That's not what you need to focus on, right? We were focused on doing this deal. So
well, and that's why there's so many people right now that are, if they're not already out of business, they're about to go out of business, and some people are out of business. They just don't know it yet, because all they've been doing is just chasing that paycheck, and the market's shifting, and they don't know how to adapt. So going into that, how has this crisis affected you guys? Let's say with the current properties that you own first, how has it affected you with the 57 doors that you have? Yeah. What has this, have you seen any decline in rents? What is it that has happened for you guys?
It's not so much a decline in rent, it's payment plans, and that's where it affects, because, if we're used to getting their money on the 3rd, the full amount, we have to wait till the 15th to get the other half, so it's just a little bit of a different, paper, I guess, look. Mm-hmm. But, we're still super interactive with everybody. We're communicating with everybody. We're providing resources for them, on stimulus. And we operate our own, management. So we provide, we fired like 2 or 3 different companies, and we decided to take it in-house. So I'm kind of the one, me, my partner, and, a few other people who help us communicate with all the residents. We make sure that we respond to all their messages. They're aware of process of getting your stimulus check. We send them, some PDFs on, some links and stuff where they can make sure they get it, track it, set up the direct deposit. And then, even just also, like, I mean, that's another thing too with this virus that's super random, but nobody could find toilet paper, right? So they were using napkins to flush, and they were clogging drains. So that's it's funny, dude. It's funny, but it's just something that it was like weird, right? And so, that's definitely something happening. But, other than that, I mean, there's one or two tenants out of 57 that, have left, decided to leave, and thank God, because there's a bunch of ways for them to kind of stay in there right now. And I mean, we were literally going to lose 4,000, and the guy just moved out today because the court date isn't until July or something. So, it's just, I think the big thing, where property management goes wrong is remember that you're a people's person. Like, you have to be a people's person. You have to talk to them. They're humans. They go through things. Just because you're doing well in life doesn't mean that someone else is, right? So just hear them out, and I promise, like, management will be a fly through.
Yeah. So
and I mean, other than that, nothing really, bro. We're like 96% occupied right now.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Yeah. I mean, our leasing is on point. We make sure that we're aware of when someone's leaving. Hey, let's start marketing this unit. I already have marketing pictures, push it, specials, get someone in the minute they move out. Like, if there's nothing wrong with it. Of course, we paint it and we clean it and stuff, but the quicker the turnaround, also the more we save, especially during something like this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. And then that's really good, because it sucks that you guys had to fire the property management companies and everything, but I mean, we've had to do it too with our own properties, and we manage our own properties now, because it's just, nobody's going to care for the property as much as you're going to care for it, right?
Number one.
Yeah. So, and it's all in the margins, like, especially profit and everything. Like, a property management company, they're clogging up the toilet. They're going to Google the most expensive plumber out there and go over there and, destroy your cash flow for months, probably.
No, I mean, and to touch on that even like a little bit is, I would go to sleep when we would have, I think there was like a point where we had like 6 or 7 vacant units, and to me that's a lot, and we didn't even have the 9 units, so it was 6 units vacant out of like 40 some, like, and so I mean, it still goes up, and I'm committed also, I've committed my life to help investors generate above average returns. So if there's 6 vacant units, I did the math per day, how much we're losing. I can't sleep. Like, I can't sleep, right? So these property management companies, I mean, it's just, I mean, there's some really good ones out there. I'm not talking for everybody, but it's just from what I experienced, they could probably sleep very well. I wanted an update in the morning, like 8 o'clock, dude, how many appointments? What's the deal? Like, and they would also tell us too, some of them, that we were trying to get rent of $800 on a renovated unit, granite, new fixtures, everything. And they were like, no, you can't. Like, they were like against us. It's like, dude, you got to be on our side, bro. Like, and it's just, I don't know, man. I'm going on rants here, but it's experience. It's experience. It's something that, you have to go through to learn it, to know what to do.
That's precisely what I was about to say, is that a lot of people always ask, for us to, like, teach them the ins and out of real estate. And it's like, look, you can pay the $30,000-$40,000 for these ridiculous, pointless guru programs, right? But one thing they're never going to teach you is experience. I mean, you just got to do it. And what you're saying, all the things that you're saying, can only be said by somebody that has the experience. Somebody that's never done it before is not going to have that same point of view that you have. So it matters greatly, because those are the things that you learn. The way that we've modified the way we run our properties, and I'm sure you're doing the same thing. Even the way, do you even analyze properties differently now from when you first picked them up that you were wholesaling to now picking them up and keeping them? Are you looking at things like, you're like, wait, hold on, we were skipping these things?
Dude, huge. I mean, Mauricio will tell us the same thing, but it's now it's like, you want to check plumbing lines, right? Yep. That's something, I mean, we would have not known, right? Being into what we know now, plumbing lines, are they, is there a good slope to them? Roofs, flat roofs, chiller systems, like, things like that. Water boilers, do they have individual ones? Is there a central one? When's the last time you did a major repair if there's a central water heater? When's the last time you did a major repair on it? Why? What happened? Right. Like, is it gas, electric? Those are different things, and that's also my reason as to to follow up on what you said, is to wholesale a few deals first, and get a little bit of cash and know the process and know what to look for, but also do your homework, do your due diligence. There's so many podcasts out there that I've learned from that honestly like are worth over $1 million, like more than $1 million of what, the value they provided. And,
But
just learn from it.
Which ones? Name off a few.
So Michael Blanks really started me off too. Michael Blanks, Financial Freedom Through Apartment Investing. Joe Fairless's podcast. The Old Capital podcast is super details on lending, very high level conversations. But thing is, if you like hear it enough, even if you don't even get it, like if you hear it enough, you're gonna start getting it over time, right? And so definitely whenever you get it, you can attract those multimillionaires to be able to have conversations with them, because you can't have a 100,000 a year conversation with a multimillionaire. Like it will make their head hurt. Like the energy, it's energy, bro. Like it's all vibrations. And so putting yourself in those podcasts. I mean, there's so many, man. Maybe I can provide 10 that I listened to, and you can share it with your listeners or something.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm a huge, like I said, I'm a huge fan of always learning. Every time I've met somebody, it doesn't matter how old they are, but when they feel that they know it all, just because they've had success, I'm like, damn, this is the start of your decline, right? Like, you can't have that mentality that you know it all. There's always more for you to learn. There's always different perspectives that you just never tried, and you can't close yourself off like that, And I think that is something that we're gonna be students till the day we die, right? You gotta always be learning, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. And get addicted to it, like it, enjoy it. You learn something new today. Humans are meant to grow, not to stay stagnant.
And that's how you get that motivation, right? You just get fired up, you get excited because you just learned something new, or maybe they're talking about something that has nothing to do with it, but it triggers something else in your mind, and you're like, oh shit, I can do this to increase revenue. And I mean, yeah, blows your mind.
Yeah, you keep learning. And I mean, I think the ultimate goal is really to know what you want, right? Your why. And when you go through things, if you're just stagnant, if you're not trying to grow, the why is going to be very blurry. If you take 5 steps forward, and then you're growing while you're moving forward, and failing and growing and moving forward, and failing, growing, moving forward, your why is just going to become much more clear too. And that's the ultimate goal in life, I think. You find out your purpose. And a lot of people don't know how to do it. But dude, I promise you'll do it if you take massive action on something. Whatever you like to wake up to in the morning. You don't like your job, leave. Like, save up a little bit of money for 3 months of work, and if you want to be a hairstylist, take off and take the leap of faith, and hope that those 3 months get you by. If not, do what we did and start getting credit cards. I mean, whatever it takes, dude. Like, I don't know. I'm a big believer in that. Whatever it takes.
I mean, I always agreed with that sentiment that, entrepreneurs jump out the plane and start building the parachute on the way down.
Huge. Yeah.
When this whole thing hit the fan, a lot of people started reaching out to us because they were panicking, right? They were worried, they were stressed out. And honestly, like, we didn't know. We still don't know what the answer is, right? Because it's like, I don't feel that economically it's hit rock bottom yet. And so I think we still have plenty to go before that happens. So we don't know what's going on. But one thing that we talk about with John all the time is that we know that we're willing to do whatever the hell needs to get done to make sure that we make it out. So what's going to come, I don't care. You understand? Like, we came from nothing. So it's like, I've already been down there. I'm not scared of that, right? You just got to keep going.
Yep. And right now, I mean, I think the biggest shift is the money, right? Money in the deal. So it used to be a lot of money, very little deals. Now there's going to be a lot of deals and little money. I mean, not so much little money, but you're going to have to work a little bit harder to get it, and so, that's all it is. That's all it is. And I'm fired up about it. Like, I love it because, through history, when has the most billionaires been created? Through recessions, and why? There's a reason behind it. Why is the reason that there's going to be the biggest wealth transfer in probably history right now that's going on? You have to get fired up. You have to start increasing your circle and having people with money in your cell phone and relationships. Right. It's going to be important. Like you said, I remember you saying it's going to be about your brand. It's going to be about your brand. Like, people are going to invest in the brand whenever things go wrong, go south. because they know that you don't screw people over. You'll do whatever it takes. You have integrity, you have values, and you're going to stick to them.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very, very valid point, and obviously I agree because we said it. But yeah, your credibility is everything. But one thing, while I do agree 100% that this is where the billionaires are usually made, and I mean, shit, billion doesn't seem to be like much anymore, so probably trillionaires moving next. What people miss on this is that they are not created just because of sheer luck. Like these people, if you study them, right? If you study the Walmarts and the McDonald's and everything, they still had to put in a ton of work during this time to become that, billion-dollar company. A lot of people think that all they got to do is just be fired up and they're going to get it. Like, no, just being here is one thing, but taking this opportunity and putting in the work is what's going to get you there, right? So you still need to be willing and able to put in that work that you're going to need. Like, it's still not going to be easy. That's why the billionaires are made, because not many people can do it. And the few that put in the work actually get there. So going back, so we covered marketing and all of that, and you did touch on money. So how are you guys funding the deals that you guys are keeping? What is your structure there?
So we're doing what's called a syndication, an apartment syndication. There's different regulations and exemptions that you can do to pull money together from either accredited investors, sophisticated investors, friends and family. There's different kind of ways to do a deal, a big deal. But it's definitely possible, and the bigger deal, the more money you're going to need to raise, right? And it's not really so much, I think, the more money you need to raise, you just need to meet higher net worth people. I mean, because they're going to be able to cover a lot. You don't need to, if you can find one investor to put $500,000 instead of 10 investors putting 50K, it's better, right? But the thing is that right now, I think is more, we're being super transparent with the investors that we have right now. We're doing everything we can to make sure that they're updated, they know what's going on, they know the rent rolls. Every month we send a monthly email on the updates on what's going on, and so they have friends, right? They have friends and they talk to people, and they've introduced us to other people, right? And we want to also have a track record. Whenever one investor comes in and says, hey, call whichever one of our investors, tell them how we are, tell them how transparent we are. And I think that helps us, get credibility in the market and establish an expert in the industry. Like, we had the meetup, people came to the meetup, people who came to the meetup that we didn't know invested in our deal, and so, I mean, it's doing more. It's cold calling, people who maybe have bought. I was listening to a podcast the other day, people who are lending on, let's just say single family properties and creating a note. You can see it's all public records. And maybe they've done it multiple times with 20 different houses. So this person has money, so cold call him, right? Skip trace him, cold call him. Different things that you could do. Even apartment owners already right now. Anybody. The thing is, anybody who has a sense of retirement, this is the way out. This is the way out, and I truly believe that. So it helps me, sell it, and it helps me, be able to attract it. The thing is, I think I'm still not doing enough. Of course, I'm never going to do enough, but it's just like massive action. I think that's where I need to be focusing on, because the deals are going to be coming. Brokers are already sending us deals. Like, it's not deals, because deal is a deal, right? They're sending us properties.
Yeah, you get leads. Explain the syndication process. So syndication, you're essentially bringing a group of people together, right, to fund the property. Are they silent partners with you? I mean, how's that? What is their role within the syndication?
So for sure, typically, 95% of the time, most of our investors are silent, and they don't have kind of any say in the operations. Me and Mauricio take care of pretty much all the capital expenditures, all the renovations. We manage it all, and so you can structure it many different ways, which is another reason why I like multifamily. Is in the general partnership, you can have several people in there who are active in the deal, who either helped you find the deal, raise the money, sign on the loan, and handle asset management too. So that's all kind of GP roles, and then LP roles are, someone a doctor, an attorney in oil and gas. Also, our GPs still put money on the deal, by the way. So GPs still put money on the LP side, just to reap the rewards. I mean, I know we're buying a good deal. I want to be in that deal. It's not one of those that we just hold it tight in our pocket. So and then the LPs. The thing is, though, a lot of people say the LPs don't have any say in anything, and it's just like, I mean, that's kind of that's negative. That's negative. And if one of our investors calls me and says, "Can we try like a gray scheme?" I'm not going to be, no, I'm going to be like, yeah, like let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And, let's do the deal and provide your opinions. I'd love your feedback. So, yeah, these LPs, I mean, but also the cool thing about it is that they get tax benefits. They get K1s at the end of the year. So if they have a high income job somewhere, they can offset it with the multifamily like investments that they have, and they own a portion of it. So they're entitled to that.
So in case you guys haven't picked up on it yet, relationships is a big key to anything that you do in real estate, right? Single family, multifamily, finding deals, finding buyers. It's all about relationships. I mean, if there's a common thread with what Adrian's been saying this whole time is relationships. You don't just blow off your private money lenders because, you're too good for this or their idea is stupid. Like, you still take the time to educate them, show them, acknowledge their idea. Maybe they do have a good idea, right? Maybe that gray scheme did make sense. Maybe it didn't. They need to understand why. And all that does is it helps you create a better bond and trust with them, where it's like, he wasn't an asshole to me. He took the time to explain, or he heard me, and they feel more appreciated at the end of the day, because, I mean, to them, they are risking their capital, right? It does matter.
You have to respect that. And ask any one of them. They're all super happy. The properties have completely turned around that we bought. They're getting above average returns. That you can't find really anywhere else with all the tax benefits, and losses on their returns. We did a cost segregation last year, mm-hmm. and they all got losses. They accelerated the depreciation on everything. And so, they got losses. So people with a high income, they got a loss of 30,000, 40,000 paper loss, and they got cash flow. So they didn't lose money. They got cash flow, but because of the tax laws and regulations, again, I'm not CPA, by the way, so I'm not giving anybody advice. Talk to your CPA, attorney, anybody. I don't just want to throw that out there. But yeah, it's really,
do you want to explain real quick what cost segregation is?
Yeah. So the term, I mean, it's. So when you buy a property, you have AC units that are not brand new, right? They're not brand new, and you have fixtures that are not brand new, and have age on them, and stoves and fridges, and they separate what's personal and real, I believe is what it is, and they accelerate the depreciation on whatever is older, right? And you get a cost segregation company to come in and do a study, and we provide pictures, and then they end up accelerating our depreciation, really is what it is, because everything when you come into a property is not new, so it already has age, and it's one of the laws that came into effect, and having a good CPA who tells us about it and knows how to do it is super important,
right?
And you can accelerate all that on year one, and that's cool.
I think it's over the first 5 years, right, when you accelerate the cost segregation. Yeah, very nice. Has any of your lenders wanted their money back out after the COVID hit?
No.
They're all like happy to go.
They're riding the train with us, man. We've created a culture, culture with, and it's super transparent. And we're not here to do anything wrong. And they can come by the property and see. I'm not. They can come whenever. Hey, call me when you're in town. Like, you don't need to give me a heads up. I'm here already. So, I love to show you around.
Right.
But, most of our investors are just, don't call me. Like, dude, don't text me. Just send me your email. I want to see my check. And that's it. Like, and those are the people you got to find, because you don't want people to be blowing up your phone all the time, especially if they're LPs, which there's nothing wrong with, that. I don't want to ever say that there's that window, but it's just, I'd prefer somebody who is just.
Well, passive. It's something that lenders need to keep in mind. Like, if you're becoming too obnoxious and too pushy, you become one of those people that we just don't want to work with, right? Because, you cause more work for us because of your own maybe insecurities or whatever it may be. And I see that a lot when you're taking in maybe like 50 grand from somebody that has 60 in savings, right? So you can't be, just because somebody's willing to offer you money doesn't mean that you should take that money. You want to make sure you're partnering with people that, if they're putting in 50 grand, that's because they probably have a couple 100,000 to put away that they can risk. Because if not, that person, I mean, they will break your balls more than anybody that, we have an investor that lent us $1 million, rarely hear from them, right?
Yep.
And then we have investors that have lent us 60 grand and it's just nonstop.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's understandable. Like I do get it. But at the same time, it's like you're saying, it's just not worth our time to be, helping with your insecurities or whatever issues you're having. Like, I understand it sucks, but, the next deal, we're not going to go to you, right?
Absolutely.
We're going to find those investors that are easier to work with.
I was I know you don't like Grant, but I was on his multifamily show that he has like once a week, and he was cold calling most of his investors, just randomly cold calling them live, and I think he was just wanting to give them an update, why he's not giving distributions, things like that. And there was a guy who was just obnoxious, man. He was like, no, I want my 10,000 back or 20,000. I don't know what it was, but he was just being super obnoxious on like live TV and stuff. And Grant like instantly was like, dude, anyone here in the office want his 10,000 or 20,000? Like 3 people, yeah, I'll take it. Grant was like, dude, I don't need your money. Like, stop telling me, stop being obnoxious. And he was just being super like on him. I don't know. And Grant was just like, dude, I've lost it. Like, if you want to sell your share, someone will buy it right now. Do you want to sell it? Like, right. We're on live, like right there, And so, I mean, it's you got to be careful who you choose. It's a team, right? You're building a team whenever you're. I mean, in anything, renovating houses, flipping houses, syndicating apartment deals. You're building a team, and you want to make sure that you build the right team.
Yeah, I think you have your hand on the mic or something. We're getting like a muffled noise coming out.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hand on there. Is it better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. Awesome. Cool.
No, I completely agree. So, all right, so that's your funding. Do you have an attorney draft up contracts for you guys, like general partnerships and all of that to clear? You have your own contracts every time you have a property. The attorney drafts up whatever the terms are for that.
So we haven't usually used an attorney for PSA. We've been using the templates, which is definitely something that I kind of want to change and implement after, talking to a few people and telling me, no, you just use an attorney for everything, especially right now. So definitely recommend using an attorney for everything. PSAs, PPMs. We have used attorneys before for our PPMs, private placement memorandums that, that help you get through the SEC, exemptions and stuff like that, where people like agree and understand what they're getting themselves into and stuff. And so, definitely huge. You need an attorney. You need a budget like $15K, $20K for a legit, SEC attorney. There's several also I can recommend if anybody has any questions, anything, anyone I work with, love to share with you guys.
So PJ asks 506B, 506C, or both?
Right now, I think B is the 35 like sophisticated investors, and then kind of an unlimited amount of accredited. So right now, all of our syndications have been a B, but super open to doing a C one of these days. I mean, for these larger deals, and also for that, whenever you're dealing with only accredited investors, you kind of tap into that network that we were talking about. Is that they know a little bit more than, and their level of risk is a little bit, higher, right?
Well, and then one thing that's always great with accredited investors or investors that have the capital is that usually they have friends that have capital as well.
Absolutely.
So then they like it, they get their money back, so then they tell their friends, and now, that makes it even easier for you as an investor because you don't even have to sell them because they're coming with that recommendation from their friend, right? That's already investing in you. So that's why, like,
those getting into multifamily really need to know what that means, like that legal side. I mean, you're playing in muddy water if you do not know what you're doing, and if like there's simple things on a 506B that, you can post on social media and you're literally like going against the law. Like so you have to be, I mean, take this business serious, like it's serious. Reg A is definitely a little bigger, like a Grant Cardone. I keep saying it, but like him standing up in front of a crowd of, 35,000 people pitching a deal. I mean, saying, he's providing these returns. And, I think that's more kind of whenever you're like trying to start a fund and stuff, something bigger. But, definitely 506B is, the way to get in, and, definitely C as well. But highly recommend an attorney and know what you're talking about and know what you're posting, because I see so many people right now that are raising money for other people and getting a percentage of the GP, and that's super illegal. But again, I'm not an attorney. You do your own homework.
Yeah. Well, we're damn near close to an attorney, though.
Yeah.
So we have another question from Chris Ramirez. She says, currently working on a 5-plex deal. Other than seller financing, what would you recommend for financing at this time?
So maybe if it depends, right? It depends, I think, on a few things. Is she going to be the only one? Is there somebody else involved? Is her credit pretty good? Does she have a strong net worth or something? Because I think banks are kind of getting a little bit more strict on who they lend to. But another thing too, to follow up on that, is that's a big reason why you need to establish a relationship with a small local bank. That way you can go to this local bank and have a relationship with them already, and probably get the funding from it. It's, good down payment. I mean, it's a small deal, so I mean, you don't really need 10 investors, 5 investors. I mean, maybe you just need someone to help you with some renovation money and stuff. But I would talk to also a loan broker, someone who specializes in finding you the right loan products. There's plenty out there. They charge a fee, but if they're saving you more money compared to the other one, it'll pay itself. But loan brokers, small banks, and that's pretty much it.
So building a relationship with a small bank, what does that mean? That you put your business account there, you deposit some money? What does building a relationship look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's a little bit more than that. Yeah, it's important, but I think it's also letting them know what you do, right? I mean, showing them your track record, your progress, even if you might even get an investor out of that. Like if you sitting with your banker telling her, like this is what we do and stuff. I mean, they're going to know what you do, and then they're going to talk in the conference room with the other head honchos, and they're like, do this. So I mean, it's a relationship. That's what it is, and yeah, it's a plus having operating accounts as well in there. The banks, I can tell you that we have our operating accounts love us. I mean, it's we're circling. I mean, the income from all the rents and stuff and expenses. So, it definitely helps, and they'll like it. But, just establish that relationship. I think it's important.
And is it important in multifamily like it is in single family? We always tell people don't quit your job because then you won't qualify for financing. Because they want that W-2 income for them to give you any type of traditional financing for your deals. Is for what you're saying right now with the banks and everything for multifamily, is it the same thing, or does the property qualify more? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so now I've heard that you have to have a bigger reserve. So you have to, on some, I think the price point is 5 million. So under 5 million, you need to have 12. Don't quote me on this, but 12 or 18 months of principal and interest payments in an account separate. You have to have insurance separate, taxes separate. So I mean, that's easily times 3 of the amount of money you would have needed to raise. So I mean, definitely the standards of having strong liquid, to a bank, to a big apartment deal is going to be super key, because it's what's going to get you through the hard times. And so another thing, I mean, that's why I like multifamily, is because I don't necessarily need to have a huge net worth. I mean, I don't need to have the great credit score. I mean, you can bring someone into a GP and have them sign off on your loan, right? And have them be a part of the team. And I think the amount of resources there is to be able to do a deal are out there. You just got to find them and be resourceful.
But at that point, GP comes in and they sign off on that loan. They're essentially tying their credit, right? They're given they're a co-signer essentially on that deal.
Yep. And the other reason why I like multifamily is because the bigger deal you do, you tap into non-recourse debt. So that non-recourse debt, they take the property, not you. So that's also why people say go bigger, especially in apartment investing compared to your 12, 24. I have the small ones, so, but I just took action. I wanted to learn it. So, but you have recourse debt and non-recourse debt. The recourse debt, they go after your personal assets. So the person signing off on the loan, guaranteeing the note, puts all his personal things on the line, his boat, his house, his car. Right. A non-recourse loan, they'll just, they're lending on the income of the property. So they'll foreclose on you and get the property and chase the property, and that's it. Bye-bye. Right. So, right. That's, I think what I love too is it's an income-based business. So you raise your income, your value over time increases. Right. So.
Very nice.
I don't know if you want me to go in that tangent, but
no. And we can go into that. But before we move into that, so you have that funding, you have somebody coming in. What you're trying to do is you get your partners to fund enough to be able to get a loan from the bank. Is that what it is that you're trying to raise money for? So you can get enough money to say, okay, we have all the reserves, we have all this covered. Now the bank comes in and fills in the rest. Is that the plan?
So pretty much, no, we find out who is going to be the one, guaranteeing the note, right? It's the KPs, the key principals, people who are going to have all the risk, right? Pretty much. And so we decide on that. And of course, that has to be decided kind of prior. Like you kind of have to know, what the deal is, what the GP team is going to look like, more or less, like I guess the most important ones. And then, the loan broker comes in the deal, make sure we have a deal, we get under contract, and then, we then send it to the loan broker to start shopping it around to find us a good loan, right? It's not always a bank either. It's some private institutions, private funding. There's all kinds of, lenders out there. That's why I recommend using a loan broker. But so, we raise the down payment of the deal, typically 20-25%. Closing costs, due diligence costs, capital expenditures, any renovations that we're going to do for the first year. Typically, we raise for the first year, and then the other 2, 3, 4, 5 years before we sell, we just kind of tap it and build it into the cash flow. But all that you got to raise, legal fees you got to raise, all that part comes into it. But by then we already have the loan. And it's already kind of been one that we're pretty sure on. Now it's all the closing costs and everything that it takes to close the deal.
Nice. Where are you guys looking for properties now?
Texas for sure. San Antonio, anything between Austin and San Antonio, all of San Antonio, surrounding little cities in San Antonio, small college towns, in Texas, McAllen, Edinburgh, places where there's stability, because especially right now you want to make sure there's people that, there's jobs, right? Those, I guess, they called it those retail big, Wendy's, Burger King, Starbucks, malls, restaurants and stuff. So all over, we'll look at anything.
And what do you look at when you're analyzing let's say a property, somebody sends you a lead? Are you looking at the job market there? What's that gonna all come in? Like what's your analysis process with a property like that?
For sure. To touch on that again, we know the markets already, right? We study the markets beforehand. That way, we cut time on or do we pass on this deal right now or do we not, right? And so definitely the location is important, super important to make sure that there's easy access, there's parking, before we even look at financials, we look at the property, right? Is it falling off the, one side of the brick coming, across? Is there a chiller system? Things like that, flat roof, pitched roof. We decide on that, and then we go into the numbers and see, where's the value add opportunity? Where can we come in and make the biggest investment, or I guess the biggest return on investment on the capital expenditures and the renovations, right? Is it, the units, and we can raise $200 a door? Are they below market rent? Is there no lighting? Is it the curb appeal, kind of crappy, the paint falling off? Is there crappy cars? The tenant mix kind of, hang around there, every other day before you buy something or get under contract to see what you're dealing with, right? To get familiar with it. And then of course you got to look at the financials, of course, to see how it's producing, and where you can cut costs. Right. Some people are running properties at 60% expense ratios, and it's just 70% expense ratios. Off the bat, you can bring it down. Off the bat, I mean, on average, it's 50%, right? And especially, I mean, if you control your own management, you can really control that. But it's more of, it comes down to, you're buying a business. You're buying a business. Someone's not going to buy a business without seeing some upside, right? Or some potential in this business, right? That's pretty much apartment investing. We go into a place and look for opportunity, and put a team together of people that are willing to, reap the rewards of it, and do one deal at a time.
Right. Is there a formula you guys follow? Like in single family, we have that famous 70% minus repairs formula. Is there a formula or something that you're like, if it doesn't meet, maybe like you're saying, the 50% of expenses ratio, like what is that formula that you're like, it needs to hit this point?
I do want to say it's not as important as you guys think it is, but just to go. I mean, I think a lot of people, like it when you say details, right? But whenever we send our LOIs, we put three or four different options together. Option number one is a cash offer. It's just 75, 80%, 70%, maybe even now. We're going down our LOIs a little bit, but make the offer. Option number one is a cash offer. Option number two would be, a little bit more of an attractive, like maybe an 80% of the value offer of, the owner of finance. Option number one. Option number two would be like maybe 90% of the value, but, attractive terms for us. So, I mean, we structure it different ways, but you always want to, have a few different options. I think a lot of people say don't do that, but, it helps us, and it's worked for us. And so that's kind of what we do. But, you also have to make sure you're buying in the right market and know the cap rate, right? Know the market cap rate. Especially right now, someone getting in, you need to be calling brokers to figure out what properties are selling for, especially during these times, and your underwriting needs to be on point. But yeah, I think it all goes down to that, bro. I mean,
right. No, I like the answer, because it's the same thing with real estate. When people say, 70% minus repairs or this, like, I don't care about the formulas, right? Like, I look at the deal. Does it make sense? What are the numbers, right? Like, I don't care if it's, whatever the guru training is. Like, I want to know, what does the deal look like, and does it make sense? Do I want it?
Yep.
Right.
So, and especially, I mean, I think the really good formula you have to understand and really figure out. I have it written everywhere. Cap rate equals NOI over value. Value equals NOI over the cap rate of the property. Right. I'm looking at it right now, but those are really the most important formulas you really have to know, because that's how you value an apartment building. And you have to just make sure you understand that equation. And even then, like, every day that I'm running the properties, if I save $20 here, I'm thinking of this formula, right? $20 saved over a course of, you times it by 12 on one unit, and the value drastically increases if you save $20 somewhere, is what I'm trying to say. So that formula is super important.
So do you want to explain that formula a little bit slower?
So the cap rate is the market cap rate. That typically goes anywhere between like 1 and 10%. To over 10 is, I mean, depends on the market too, right? San Antonio, I would say maybe like 5.5, 6, maybe a little less or more now. But McAllen about 7. Austin is 5, 4. The lower the cap rate, the more expensive the deals are. So you just have to, that's your determining factor on figuring out what the value is, and not just for you, for your bank, for everybody else, right? And then the NOI is the net operating income. So that's, all the income, the gross income, the rents, what came in though, not your rent, because it's called economic, I guess, vacancy and physical occupancy and stuff like that. So, what actually came in, any additional income, any laundry machines that you're getting extra, any carport parking, dog fees, anything like that. And then you go into expenses. So all your management fees, your repairs and maintenance, your utility bills, all your expenses, and then you get your number, right? Your NOI, and that NOI is your profit on the building, and that's what you use to divide over the value, right? So you can have different ways of structuring it to figure out what you need to get to. So typically, we send our offers at a 10 cap, 8 cap, 12 cap. And if we want to know what that number is, this formula is super important. So
Right.
the NOI is pretty much the fixed number, though.
All right. So pretty much what you want to determine is that NOI first, then what cap rate you want to target, and then you start plugging in to see what the value is of that property, what you're willing to pay for it, right?
Or vice versa. If someone tells you the value or what they're selling it at, and you know the NOI, and you can get the cap rate, right, to figure out if you're buying a good deal or not. So that formula is super important to understand.
How do you get the so pretty much to determine the NOI, you got to get the pro forma, right, about on the property.
No, not the
Okay.
pro forma.
So what do you got to get?
I mean, I've seen some pro formas right now that are so juiced up, and I'm like, dude,
Yes.
have you operated some apartment buildings before? Like, do you even know what you're doing? Like, I mean, there's so many good brokers. Like, I'm not going to talk for everybody, but still, I mean, you can't go off of pro formas. You have to go on actuals. You have to get a T3. Trailing T3 is a trailing 3 months. So how the property's done for the past 3 months, like actuals, like go through it and get the information. I mean, in the beginning too, when I'm cold calling, especially, I don't go into like, dude, give me all your details. Like, give me all your stuff right now. Like, that's super uncomfortable. Like, I know I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to win them like that. So ballpark, more or less, ballpark. Again, you go into your LOI, you have due diligence, you get all the actual records, and you go through that. But you have to get the actuals, T6s, T12s, rent rolls, actual rent rolls. I mean, it's all actuals. That's how you determine your NOI, not with a pro forma. No, big no. You will be buying bad deals.
Exactly. No, I wanted you to really cover that because I always hear a lot of people that are, multifamily became like Airbnb, right? It was that sexy thing everybody wanted to jump into because they saw it as easy money. And everybody was just talking about the pro forma. And I'm like, you're literally hoping that they share everything with you legit on a pro forma, right? So, I mean, it's just, it could be whatever the hell they want to put in there. You want to see the actual financials.
Yep.
So
and proof, right? Proof.
So let's go through one of the negotiations real quick then. So you're talking to somebody and you get in the ballparks, right? So they give you all the ballpark number and you run your numbers. And then you tell them, like, look, this, here's what my offer is going to be, but this is going to be contingent on me actually checking the T3 and making sure that it meets all, all your numbers are accurate.
Yep. I mean, it's just like, if you're telling me this, I mean, based upon what you're telling me, I know I can pay this. So when it changes, I mean, dude, hey, backtrack. Whoa. Hey, I mean, I can't pay you that if the number that you told me is not this. I deliver on everything I say. So I don't like to, now that I've seen some numbers change, I'm not going to tell you that I can pay that anymore because, Mr. Seller, I'm a man of my word and I'm going to close on the deal, but the numbers got to change, right? So, I mean, I think that's important, and that's super important, honestly. And tour the units, go inside every single unit, because they could say all the units are awesome, but recently we were looking at a deal in San Antonio a couple weeks ago, and we were running our numbers, and the seller said they were all rent ready. All the 8 vacant units out of the 40 units that there was were rent ready, and we go in there, they're gutted. I mean, that changes that changes the amount of money I have to raise, and that's going to change everybody's return. So it's easy to screw it up, but there's so many resources out there that'll teach you this for free, like podcasts, YouTube videos. I mean, honestly, like, and you just have to do your research and dive in, and you'll figure out the rest.
Yeah. And PJ had asked earlier that podcast list would be great. So maybe after the episode is over, if you want to go on this post and just put like your podcast, YouTube's, whoever it is that you like learning from and getting your information from, just to get these people prepared.
I highly recommend also like some mindset stuff. I know, me and you were a big fan of mindset, and I think that's bigger than real estate specific information. To be completely honest with you, I think that's the reason why it allowed me to even want to learn about real estate specific stuff, is to continue growing your mind. There's a bunch of podcasts for that too, but books, mental books, personal development is key. Go to seminars. It's not just podcasts. It's more of a little bit of everything, and continue to grow and become the person you want to be. Right.
Well, I mean that's really the key. Is what we always talk about when people are, asking for the how-tos. The how-tos are all over the internet, right? I mean, it's not hard to find how to do anything. It's just that you need the right mindset to understand what information you're looking for, right? To understand the amount of due diligence and work and drive that you got to get to teach yourself how to do all that. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Or you could always partner with Adrian, right?
cut your learning curve. Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. I mean, that's how you cut my learning curve, right? I mean, it's you leverage other people and you leverage information. But I mean, when I was starting off, I would not have been able to go through all the crap that we went through, bro. Like those first 4 years of grinding. I mean, I remember me and you almost tearing each other's heads off. Like it was like not ours actually, the sellers, like some sellers, some contractors. So I mean, but you have to really have that mindset developed to be able to go through all these objections that you're going to get and all these obstacles. And that's the reason for you to continue doing your personal development, your Jim Rohn, Napoleon Hill, all those basics. They're all basics, and you have to continue to develop that mindset. That way, you can push through the no's. And it's just a proven formula. It's a proven concept. There's no trying to make it up. It's laws. They work, and it's the universe.
I don't know if you know this person, but Tessa Martinez is saying a lot of golden nuggets here.
Hey, golden nuggets.
Yes. So, going back to kind of like what's going on in the market and everything, are you guys considering selling any of the properties you currently have? Have you looked into it? Like, what are you guys looking at as far as that goes?
So, I mean, we definitely have a goal on, whenever you're buying an apartment building, you have to come up with a business plan. And that business plan is pretty much going to dictate whenever the property's up for sale, right? We typically, underwrite properties from 3 to 5 years for an exit, either a refinance or a sale. And so, whenever, but the thing is, that's our pro forma, right? When we come into the deal, we have a pro forma that we have goals that we need to meet to, essentially double everybody's money. And in 3 to 5 years, that number, that NOI is where, we plan on getting to then sell for a value that we're looking for, right? So if we are able to reach that goal of that NOI on year 2, it's up for sale. Like if there's no emotional, it's a plan. We stick to the plan, and the great thing is that we're going to be able to do all that in 1 year. Can you imagine, all the investors that are going to be talking about us, like, so it really just depends. But we're pretty close on one to go up for sale, and we're just not blasting it right now. It's just something kind of on the low because of what's going on. I mean, we're cash flowing, we're full. I mean, I have no motivation to sell at whatsoever. So there's definitely exits, and you have to know your exits, and you have to make sure that you know what you could sell for, because that's huge.
And what does that look like when you're ready to sell? What do you do on your end? Like, I mean, obviously you guys haven't gone through it yet, right? But when you start preparing to sell, like, do you start putting your own pro forma together, or do you not even waste time on that? Where do you list it? Do you get a broker? Like, what's that process look like?
Yep. So, definitely before we even get the broker involved, is we make sure we get aggressive on our, let's say, T3s and T6s, and we plan. I mean, this is all planned. I mean, it has to be a plan, right? And so, what we did January, February, March is we made sure everybody paid on time. We were aggressive. We were communicating, very good, decreasing any like major expenses. That way it looks good on paper also, right? And so also we got a professional photographer in, we cleaned up the landscaping, built a dog park, the lighting, took night pictures, took day pictures, unit pictures, professional pictures. I mean, like to brand it, right? And to push it. And we put everyone on the, standardized TAR leases, the legit leases. And one thing that I've been a believer of is to leave a little bit of meat on the bone for the next buyer. So if you are able to have a few contracts that are 30-day, like month to month, they can come in and give them a notice and start a new renovation. They don't have to wait, because you have to legally abide by the tenant lease. So if they have a 12-month lease, you can't kick them out. and there's a few different ways to structure it, but if you want to cash for keys, things like that, but put everyone on a standardized lease and leave some opportunity for the buyer too. I mean, we're not going to go in there and fully maximize the property. It's just, if we do that, no one's going to want to buy 100% value of the property. They're going to want to do their own work, right? Unless you are in Austin and you're buying downtown Austin and you're just a Chinese investor and want appreciation over time.
Damn, getting racist. All right.
There's a lot of Chinese money getting dumped.
So all right. So you like to buy them at around 10% cap rate. That's what you target, and then you want to sell what kind of cap rate? Do you have a target on that?
Again, it just depends, right? It depends. I mean, where? I mean, there's a lot of variables, but in San Antonio, we try to get the 6, right? I mean, I think 6.5. I mean, being aggressive, but something along those lines. But you need to know your cap rate, and that's what's going to help. But that's typically what happens.
All right. So, I mean, a lot of great information. I think people have gotten a ton of value. I mean, you really have shared everything. You've covered a lot. What has been the biggest challenge for you since you went ahead and decided to say, I'm in this real estate space, this is what I'm doing? What has been your biggest challenge? And did you overcome it, or are you still having this challenge?
I mean, there's challenges every day, I think, that I face. And I think one big one is, a team. I think having a team is super important. In order for me to do what I want to do, I mean, build what I want to build, I can't do it myself. And it needs more, especially if you're trying to build a company. It needs more than 1, 2, 3 people. I mean, you need a good amount of people that all share the same vision and all are good at what they're good at, and they all help with everything, right? I mean, I think that's where I'm kind of struggling a little bit, is to establish this team and 100% dedicated people, and systems too is also another thing. Organization is key too. I mean, I feel like I need to definitely improve on my organizational skills. I'm just not as structured as I think I could be, and I think that's the key for me being more effective, is being more structured. And so I mean, it's just it's one of those things where we're constantly growing and figuring out some problems and trying to fix them, and it's not perfect. I can guarantee you, even Robert Kiyosaki has struggles and that he's working on, and so don't be afraid of them, right? I mean, embrace them and run with it, and reach out to people and see what they do, right? Get ideas and be curious.
Right.
I think that's key, but definitely organizational structure. But I mean, I love what I do. I love construction. I love renovation. I love real estate. I love talking to people. And that's what I like to do. So that's kind of what I like to focus on.
Nice. Very good. So you guys do Traction, right? Well, it's a book that we've started when you were working with us. We follow it as well. So in Traction, you set your year-long goal, and then you set your rocks, which are your 90-day goals, right? We did reevaluate our year-long goal when this coronavirus hit, right? We restructured what kind of marketing we were going to focus on. We're seeing a lot of things that are going to be coming up in the real estate space, especially with, like I said, a lot of these shitty wholesalers that are going to be going out of business. There's going to be a lot of opportunities coming up. So we reassessed what we were going to do for the year. What does that vision look like for your company? Like, what do you got? I mean, what's your goal?
I have it, man. I have it right in my face. I mean, so we did the 90-day goals. We did the 1 years. I really want to touch on the 90 days because that's, I mean, from the book, he says, don't really focus on the 1 years. Do your 90s, right? Make that your biggest, energy that you're focusing on. So the 90-day goals: get 125 total units under contract, soft commitments of $2 million, finish remodel at one of our apartments 100%, send 300 postcards a week, 10 cold calling man hours per week, close on one of the properties that we're selling, wholesale 2 more apartment complexes, start a podcast, hire 1 more employee for our management company, hire 1 more employee for acquisitions, and delegate, branding and social media. I think that's where our 90-day goals need to align. And I love Traction. I love the fact that it's in your face, and you use your mind to create this, and then you like really believe that it can be done, and it's there, and you have something to work towards. That's what's going to help you get up in the mornings. And traction is definitely a good. I mean, it helped when we were together.
Yeah.
I mean, our meetings were starting to get like super crappy. Like everyone was, eating, and it's so. And then once we implemented a little bit of structure, like I said, I'm lacking a little bit, right? That's where things really drastically change, because then you start figuring things out about people and where their strengths are and weaknesses. But and the fact too that whenever you have this team, you all have to be aligned on the vision. Like it's not. One cannot be out of line. I mean, you have to, like, for it to be truly successful. And again, you're going to go through a bunch of people, right? I mean, I don't know how many, but it's not going to be perfect the first time. But ultimately, your ultimate goal is, for everyone to have the same vision. Apple created a vision that all of their employees truly love and admire and stuff. And Amazon, SpaceX is a huge one where everyone is working on a vision. And when that happens, things, like harmony, it's harmony, and it just really, I think that, but going back to the rocks, you have to have goals, they have to be clear. I don't know necessarily how specific you want to be, but just have something you're chasing, and ask yourself every day if you did a little bit to get closer to those goals. Did you do something to help you get there today? What do you need to do tomorrow if you didn't today, like to make up for it? Just be also, your calendar's your own boss. When you're an entrepreneur, like, your calendar's your boss. Fill it up, have meetings, have calls, tour properties, look at deals, make offers, analyze properties, study, get some education constantly, every day. I'm addicted to that, man. Like I'm addicted. If I'm not doing that, there's a problem.
That's good.
Real. Serious.
No, I believe you, man. Fired up.
You should ask me if I'm not doing that, there's something bigger going on in my life.
You're in depression.
I guess. But
well, we're getting to that hour and a half, so I don't want to be taking up too much of your time. So let's start wrapping up a little bit. What is something that maybe we haven't covered that you would like to make sure that we cover before we end?
I don't want to be too specific on, real estate type or real estate in general. It's more, I think that, first thing that comes to mind every time, we hang out or we get together, or, I think this podcast is super important for people to understand, what allowed me and us to grow and get better is resourcefulness. We really figured things out. Look at you, you have a podcast now, and you hated technology. I remember I was the one kind of like figuring a little bit of technology stuff out, and you have a podcast now, you have a bunch of listeners. You guys renovate 5 houses a month now. It's constant growth, but I think the biggest key to that is you didn't let the circumstances outside face you. It was something that I'll figure it out. If I need to hire a couple more contractors, and because some screwed me over, figure it out. If you need to file your tax return yourself, like, figure it out. Do whatever it takes, but figure it out. Your bookkeeping, figure it out. Your website, create your website, figure it out. Like, it's a lot of people have too many excuses. I hate excuses, and when people don't like try. I remember also people would come to me, and I remember also people would come to us and be like, how do I do this? Like, have you tried? Like, have you done everything you possibly could to try to figure that out before you come to me and ask me that question? And that just makes your mind develop, this skill that I think you really need in order to be successful in this business and in anything really is, there's so many resources out there. What's that quote with Tony Robbins? I know you know it off the top, but the resourcefulness, it's, when people figure out that the best skill to have is resourcefulness, it's not so much like an actual skill. Like, I think that's where you really become successful. But I don't know, Tony, look it up, guys. Tony Robbins has an awesome quote. It's awesome, but I think that's a big key, bro. Do you agree?
1,000%.
Anything on that?
Growing up in this country as an immigrant, like, you had to be resourceful. I had no other option. You know what I mean? Like, this whole thing of complaining, bitching, and moaning and wanting the government to help you, that was never an option for us. So, your only option is just to get resourceful. So even right now, when everybody's freaking out, and I get it, it's a tough time, and there's a lot of people that gotten hit. To me, it's like, all right, like this is just another opportunity to become more resourceful. Like first thing that we did was start tapping. That's why we started the tips from the pros, because I started reaching out to people that had been through this before, that understand what's going on, that still had their business, that's still growing. Because I was like, hey, what are you guys doing? You know, what are you seeing? What's coming in the down the line? Because it's resourcefulness, right? It's just, I don't need to know all the answers. I just need to know the people that do know all the answers. Yeah. And that's what's going to make sure that my company keeps going moving forward.
Yep.
So I completely agree with you. Huh?
Get started. Like if you're going to wholesale houses, if you're going to flip houses, like buy your first deal, figure it out. You'll get resourceful, you know, and you'll develop that skill and the trait and the muscle. But get involved. Like I get so many people telling me, dude, I'm looking at so many deals. And what are you doing today? Oh, I'm analyzing deals. Like, yeah, I'm underwriting deals. Like, I mean, okay, but I feel like they're just overthinking it sometimes. And you know, just figure it out and make it happen. Don't make excuses is what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, I'm 24. You know, age was definitely a factor. You know, coming into the business, but I didn't let that stop me. You know,
24, you're a baby. You're a baby. But PJ did find the quote. It says, the defining factor is never resources, it's resourcefulness, by Tony Robbins.
Sure. Right there.
So, I mean, very true. So before we wrap up, before we end, what are some books that have defined you that you're like, man, I would not be here if it wasn't for this book? And I get it, 10X by Grant Cardone and Grant Cardone's memoirs, and I get it. Oh, you have a picture of him by your nightstand.
But no, the book that taught Grant is the one I'm going to recommend. Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. Study it, read it. I promise. There's so many basics in that book. And the first time around, I didn't understand it. I didn't know what the heck was going on. The language was super weird. You know, it gave me a headache, and I didn't believe in the book. But I kept it in my car, and now, I mean, I pick it up, you know, once a week and go through it, dive into a couple chapters. And I can learn something new from that book every time I read it, depending on the situation that I'm in, right? But you know, that one is a huge one. Slight Edge was a big one. You know, and I mean, I think I'm not a big reader, to be honest. It's more of, I do a lot of audio tapes. I do a lot of, you know, looking at, you know, Jim Rohn speak on YouTube and at a seminar in 1965 or something super old, and he's just playing in the background here in the office, or Tony Robbins is playing in the background. I mean, it's not only books, it's also audios, I think, help me a little bit better. But, you know, those are the basics with those guys.
Very nice.
On Hill, Rich.
And after this, remember, you're going to go on this post and put the list of podcasts and everything, because people are definitely wanting to see where you get your education from. Okay, cool. So, yeah. I mean,
feel free. Also, like, I mean, I'd love to hop on a call with anybody if, you know, anyone has any questions. You know, we just got to coordinate and
be careful with that. Where's the best place people can reach you? How do you like to be contacted? Is it email, social media? What's the best way?
Pretty much, you know, Instagram. I'm pretty active on Instagram. I do a lot of, you know, stories on, you know, what we're doing at the apartments that we own, you know, what's going on, the renovations and stuff like that. So highly recommend to follow me on Instagram. Send me a message. Facebook, pretty active. I mean, any social media platform really. And you know, you'll find out a way to contact me. I mean, if you really want to know, I mean, you'll be resourceful and you'll figure it out.
Exactly. Very well said. So, last question. What are you doing right now to stay focused in the middle of all this chaos and panic that's going on? What are you doing to not let it get to you, to not let it affect your focus, your drive, your motivation? What is it that you're implementing in order to achieve that?
My goals. I'm looking at my goals every day. It's just my goals, what I want. I'm not going to let coronavirus stop me from getting where I want to go. I'm not going to let a stock market crash in 2008 stop me from where I want to go. Like, I'm focused on my goals, and that's why it's important to have these rocks, these 90-day goals that you can look at, and when you look at that, you'll know what you need to do. Like, but just have it down, and a lot of, I mean, honestly, people don't understand really the strength that it does when you write your goals down and you put them, you know, in the back, and they're on my screensaver in the back on my computer. And so, and I have the VTO printed out. I mean, it's something you have to, really rely on, is your goals and yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's really what drives me, and also self motivation. I figure out how to self motivate myself. Because a huge quote, Andrew Carnegie: "Those who are unable to motivate themselves must be content with mediocrity, no matter how impressive their other talents are." So you could be super good at something else, but you have to figure out how to self motivate yourself, and that's what's going to get you through anything.
And how scary is that word mediocrity, right? Like, it's like
Nah,
you just say and you're like, nope.
dude, there's no cussing on your show, man.
Yeah, right.
Don't say that word.
Yeah, you can say fuck, shit, whatever, but don't say those lame words. Yeah, I gotcha.
That gives me goosebumps. Makes me nervous.
Yeah. Well, Adrian, thank you very much for coming on the show. You've shared a wealth of knowledge, and I know people are going to get a ton of value out of everything you shared because it comes from real experience. This is not regurgitated guru nonsense. Napkins clogging up your toilet comes from you having to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
Having to go there, firing your property managers, managing it yourself. That is all real life experience, and you shared that in spades, and it's been amazing. There's still so much more questions I really have, but we can't make this, a 4-hour long podcast. You see, every time we hang out, it's for at least 5 hours.
We plan it for a quick, lunch or something, and we end up, closing the bar out next door.
No, definitely.
It's good though. I mean, they're high level conversations. It's not just, we're not talking about, Drake, and we're not talking about it's multi-billion-dollar conversation.
It's the company you keep that matters, right? It's the people that you spend that time with that definitely matters, and you want to make sure you're selfish and you're spending it with people that are gonna elevate you and not bring you down.
100%.
Sir, real pleasure.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, John. Again, say hi to John Barr for me.
Will do.
Lumberjack
John.
Lumberjack John.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming.
All right, man. Okay, bye-bye.
Man. Take it easy. Well, there you have it, guys. Another powerful episode. Adrian did amazing, and I hope you guys really take advantage of all the knowledge he shared. And he gave you a pretty much step-by-step process on everything. And I think it's more than enough for you to, if you really want to get into this, that you just get out there and you execute, right? Because now that you have that roadmap from Adrian, you can get out there and execute on that roadmap. You can start digging in deeper on what do those little things mean? What does this look like? But he gave you that overview on how it is that he grew from nothing to how he has this business at just 24 years old. I mean, it's very impressive, and I hope that it came across very, very accurately that you need passion. If you don't have that passion and that drive, you're just not going to achieve. You're not going to last. You understand? And you see Adrian, that he started with, going through a lot of shit, and he stuck through it. And even now, there's still problems that he has to deal with, with his property managers and contractors and everything. But he's still pushing through. He has that passion that keeps him there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Remember, we try to bring this every week, and we bring you a local professional that's killing it in the business. So make sure you subscribe to our podcast and our Facebook page and everything, so you stay up to date. Share with your friends, anybody that you know is interested in multifamily. Adrian's contact is going to be put on here, like he said, on social media and everything. You can reach out to him. Message him. He's a great guy. He's always there to help. If you want to partner with him, just be cautious of his time. You understand? Like, if you really want to work with him, be sure that you're really willing to put in that work, so you're not wasting his time and his resources. And that goes with anybody that you want to partner with. So thank you all for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.